Golden State Warriors fans, how are we doing? Dub Nation, how are we doing? Of course, hey, for all you who subscribe, welcome back to C-Train Station. If you haven't subscribed, oh my gosh, for your Golden State Warriors content, like, subscribe, and follow C-Train Station, yours truly. Hey, enough about that though. Can we talk about, this is, so it is Tuesday night, Tuesday evening, and the Warriors just lost, and they lost pretty big time to the Miami Heat. Now, here's why I'm not as sad or panicked as maybe other games or other days. The Dubs didn't have Steph and Curry, and it was just a tough overall. It was a tough one. I think that Miami, the Heat, really got up for that game. Miami was at home. It was on national TV. Everybody's getting up to play the Warriors, right? But I think that Miami, especially, I mean, Spoelstra, they were all really, really in it to win it, and it was personal to them because of the Jimmy Butler trade. So I'm not going to overreact to that loss, but there were a couple concerning things, honestly, a few concerning things. First of all, the Warriors are in serious danger now of losing their sixth seed in the West in the playoffs. So, I mean, the playoffs are right around the corner. We have less than 10 games left. Whew. The playoffs are right around the corner, Dub Nation. And it's scary because I think that the Warriors really do hold that risk. They have a tougher schedule. Let's look at it. Let's break it down a little bit. We have the Timberwolves, the Clippers, and the Warriors, and they're all sort of eyeing that sixth seed. Warriors are 6 right now. Timberwolves and Clippers are 7 and 8. And here's the thing. The Warriors have, I think, the harder schedule out of all three of them. And also, when you look in the play-in, sure, Sacramento doesn't look as deadly as you think. But when you look at the play-in tournament to get into the playoffs, you got Sacramento sitting there. They are dangerous. And you got the Phoenix Suns, who are sort of streaking right now. The Phoenix Suns right now are playing some really good basketball. I would not want to play them in the play-in tournament if I were the Golden State Warriors. And I honestly think that the Warriors may end up in that play-in tournament. This was a really big, the Warriors had a loss a few games ago, but this loss against the Miami Heat, this is a difficult one. Miami are like a less than 500 team, like 10th in the East, I think. You see, I'm like moving my arm. I don't even, why would I put this prop in the way? This is pretty cool. This is from my younger sister and brother-in-law from, this is like you practice soccer. It's pretty cool. It's a little soccer practice ball. From Yaoundé, Cameroon. How cool is that? But I digress. The Warriors are in danger of losing that 6th seed. And I think that my bottom line with that is the Warriors shouldn't go seed hunting as much as they should just be trying to play the best basketball that they can. Here's some issues that I saw, though. The Warriors' offense, they're completely stagnant without the threat of Steph out there. So here's the thing. When Stephen Curry is playing, when he's healthy and playing, Jimmy Butler has no problem leading that sort of those off, when Steph is off the floor, Jimmy Butler has no problem leading those minutes. However, when Steph isn't playing, when Steph isn't at his best, the Warriors are having an awful time creating shots. They're incredibly stagnant on offense, and it's tough. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I thought that this would be Jonathan Kuminga's forte. I thought that he would be the guy sort of in the margins, collecting those buckets around the basket, hitting those open three-point shots, and he has not done that since he's come back. I think that, let's say like his last 4 games, he's had something like 10 points, 13 points, 16 points, 15 points. Look, that's not good enough. That's not even close to good enough. We want Jonathan Kuminga to be the second scorer on a good team. Before the Butler trade, we were asking, can Jonathan Kuminga be that second scorer that the Warriors need? And there were questions, right? He doesn't need to be that second scorer anymore. However, he needs to be that consistent scorer. and scoring sort of in the peripherals, in the margins, to where Steph has that perimeter game, Butler has that inside game right around the hoop. Kuminga needs to feast in those margins. He needs to use the said gravity that Butler has and that Steph has, and really use that to his advantage on offense. And here's how GP2, Gary Payton II, uses Steph's gravity. He uses his own intelligence. This is where I'm getting. He's always around the basket. That's what Kalena always says, right? Kalena has a boogie. Where can you win? And Fitzgerald, right? When you don't know where GP2 is, where can you find him? Underneath the basket, around the basket. Real quick, I'm a Kuminga fan, just like you, right? But for those Kuminga fans, what are his go-to moves? He says that he's unstoppable one-on-one. Well, what are his go-to one-on-one moves? I can't really think of anything. He kind of has this bash through, step through, gets fouled. He does have a nice turnaround mid-range jumper, but he doesn't show that off. It's not like that's a go-to. Jonathan Kuminga is a fourth-year player who right now his numbers he's now regressing. That's a fact. Look at his numbers from last year to this year. He is now in regression mode, and that is like inexcusable for having Jimmy Butler as your teammate. But I would like to know because Warriors owner Joe Lacob was in Miami courtside. I would like to know what Joe Lacob's thoughts on Jonathan Kuminga were. Like, does Joe Lacob really seriously want to pay Kuminga $25 to $35 million knowing that it's a coin flip? It's like maybe he could get like over 20 points. He doesn't average nearly 20 points a game, but like he may get you those like 10 point, 12 point, 15 point. And then look, if we're getting to a player who is becoming one-dimensional, like Kuminga missed a lot of defensive rotations. He wasn't closing out on players like Alec Burks tonight. Alec Burks scored a lot of threes. He got a lot of threes. I know that a couple of them were over Kuminga. He didn't extend the defense out nearly enough. Is Kuminga doing enough to warrant his contract and playing time? For me right now, I say absolutely not, unfortunately. It's like, it sucks. I keep flip-flopping, right? You get me in a video saying that he's indispensable. Right now, it's like, it's very tough when when Kuminga doesn't have a go-to move, when he's regressing with stats. And here's the most disappointing thing, maybe, of the second half of the season. The most disappointing thing of this season, so far, the second half, is that I thought Jimmy Butler would totally unlock Jonathan Kuminga's offense. I thought that they could play off each other in the pick and roll. I thought that they could do some pick and pop game. And it's like, it hasn't happened at all. In fact, Kuminga has regressed, which it just leads me to believe that Kuminga hasn't played a lot of basketball and also just isn't necessarily as adept at the game as a player like Pajensky. Pajensky and Kuminga right now are polar opposites. Kuminga was talking with his agent over the last few years, asking out. He created a lot of stir in the public. All that Pajensky has done has bought in 100%, and you can see it now. Pajensky is starting to really flourish in only his second year, and we're still asking so many questions of Kuminga in his fourth. To me, if I were the Warriors, I think about packaging Kuminga and Moody and your draft picks for like a Cam Johnson. I would love the Golden State Warriors, if they had Cam Johnson instead of Kuminga, I believe that they are finals favorites this season. I'm going to say that one more time. If the Golden State Warriors had Cam Johnson instead of Jonathan Kuminga, I think that they are finals favorites this season. Steph, Pajensky, Jimmy Butler, Cam Johnson, Draymond. I think that five can get you a championship. And it's like, where's your scoring going to come from? The dude makes the room, Cam Johnson. His ability to stretch defenses just would kill. But I digress. That's a story for another day, right? I'm all in on the Warriors this season, and they need to, and Jimmy Butler and Steph are really going to need to work on unlocking Kuminga, where that totally sucks. It's like every other player on the Warriors, Guy Santos, Moses Moody, GP2, Quentin Post, every single one of those players is doing everything they can, Pajensky, to buy into the Warriors system, to pay in. What can I do for you, Steph? What can I do for you, Jimmy Butler? How can I sell for you on defense? How can I contribute on defense, Draymond Green? Everyone except for Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga is the only guy. He's not playing out of this world defense. He's not playing good defense. He is not selling. He's not buying in on offense. He isn't moving. He isn't moving the ball. So the Warriors are going. It's only an issue if you start to lose. How about that? So Warriors fans, right? Jonathan Kuminga is only an issue if you start to lose. If the Warriors, if they make it to the Western Conference Finals, re-sign Kuminga for whatever, because it's like because they're winning. They're winning. But it's when you lose that you start to ask valid questions, and Kuminga's lack of growth, even with Jimmy Butler, with Steph, with that greatness on the court, leads me to ask the questions, is he that guy? I think Kuminga always has had that potential, right? But here's another thing. When you ask yourself, what are Kuminga's go-to moves? Also ask yourself this, like, has Kuminga shown the work rate to even score as many points as people think that he can? I don't think so. I don't think that Jonathan Kuminga works hard enough to score consistently 25 points a game. I just don't think that he works hard enough. I see him out there. He's not working hard enough. He's not moving on offense. On defense, he's not disrupting. He's not like getting 6 to 8 points off of defense. He's not getting to the line, right? Right? Yeah, I'm not off here. Check his stats. So it's going to be interesting. The biggest question mark, almost one of the only question marks on the Warriors, is Kuminga. And I'll tell you, and this is why. It's like, who's playing? Everybody else is playing sort of how they're supposed to play. Post is doing his role. When Moody isn't hitting those threes, he's really hustling on defense, and also he's getting some boards. Pajensky is that connection guy, and he's making his open three-pointers now. Guy Santos, another connection hustle player. Everybody's playing their role, except for Jonathan Kuminga, and I just have to call it out. Absolutely have to call it out. So one more time, though. I love the energy that Guy Santos, Quentin Post, and GP2 are bringing to the squad. I hope that the Dubs re-sign Looney and GP2 to the vet minimum, but I hope that they can keep them on this squad because, like, GP2 started tonight. The Warriors lost. They got rolled, but he started tonight. Like if the Warriors could, this offseason, re-sign Looney and GP2 to vet minimums, that's what I'm talking about. That's finally the Warriors culture sort of starting to pay off. You got players who now are literally willing to buy in and get a cheaper contract to stay on the Dubs. The final stretch, how about this? I'm going to put this out there. If the Golden State Warriors, if they get 6 or higher, if they just make it to the regular playoffs and not the play-in, I think that Draymond Green automatically wins Defensive Player of the Year. Automatically. He has been amazing. I cannot believe the man's 35 years old. His energy, his desire, it's like he's rededicated himself to the game, and I'm all here for it. Props to you, Mr. Draymond Green. Oh my gosh, man. So I think that he should win Defensive Player of the Year, but that's if the Warriors make the play-in? No. I don't think that a player who was on a marginal play-in team should have Defensive Player of the Year. He's not affecting his team good enough to make the playoffs, right? I guess that is going to also come down to like what other players, who else is in it for that Defensive Player of the Year. So moving forward, right? It's like I asked questions of Kuminga, all that yada yada, right? Moving forward, the Warriors do have a decently tough schedule. They got to play the Lakers, the Clippers, even the Pelicans are dangerous right now. How can the Warriors do it? Hey, let's get a little C-train. Let me give you an omelet. Let's talk a little bit of tactics, like what the Warriors can do. I contend, and the Warriors need to get back to their defensive roots. And this is why. As we saw in their losses, the Warriors are stagnant on offense. They do not have the playmakers this season. Draymond Green's a playmaker. Pajensky, Steph, and Jimmy Butler. Beyond that, it's like Kuminga isn't making that many plays for anybody. Moses Moody? No, right? The defense is going to have to be that catalyst. That's my contention, is that the Warriors are going to have to use just a supercharged and fueled defense to get out, run, get those easy singles in transition, and also get easy three-pointers in the transition. Easy buckets in transition from good defense. And also, I would hope that the Warriors would hit more singles and go for a bunch of home runs. Hit those singles, and then apply pressure on the defense. And I think that the Warriors can go far. Conversely, though, they also just lost to the Miami Heat, right? So it is very tough, and this is going to come down to it. So Warriors fans, I hope that you're excited. Every game means so much right now. That's why this loss is pretty devastating. But hey, the Warriors move forward and we move on, right? This train keeps on rolling. One more thought. And a player to keep an eye out for in the NCAA tournament. I'm always scouting those Dubs prospects, right? Always looking forward. Duke guard Tyrese Proctor. I love his game. I think that he would be an exceptional Golden State Warrior, and I think that he would provide a tall guard, lead guard, can really play good positionally on defense and can stroke it. The dude can shoot it fairly well. So taller, 6'6"-ish guard who can shoot over defenses. He reminds me of Nembhard. Remember the dude from the Pacers who used to play in Gonzaga, I believe. He reminds me of that guard who always kills the Dubs. Love to have a guy like Tyrese Proctor on the Golden State Warriors. I think that with his awesome and dominant play for Duke in the tournament, he's played himself into a mid-rounder, first-rounder. However, if he slips into that second round, the Warriors, I would grab him up like nobody's business, and I think that he would make an incredible impact as a rookie on the Golden State Warriors. It's players like that who I think that the Warriors can sort of steal in the second round that allow them to make bigger moves in the offseason. I think that the Warriors, hopefully they're looking heading up. I hope that they're looking for another superstar to pair with Steph, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. And this is why, is because I think that Mike Dunleavy Jr. is just uniquely qualified and good and skilled at filling in the margins. He's been able to find players like Guy Santos, Quentin Post, right? Even like Lindy Waters earlier on in the season. I would love it in the offseason when the Warriors are looking at doing stuff, the Warriors can sort of find Guy Santos players. So I really hope that they aren't afraid to to look at packaging like Hield, Moody, Kuminga, and picks for another player that really pushes the needle. We're seeing what Jimmy Butler, how much he's moving the needle for the Warriors, right? Especially because they're so good at filling in the margins of their roster. I'd like to see the Warriors try it again and do it again, and I really think that they can. And I think that that's the way to go. Now, no, every star is not going to work for the Warriors, right? But a player like Cam Johnson isn't even necessarily a superstar. Kobe White isn't necessarily a superstar, but might be able to work and suit the Warriors' needs. Have you subscribed yet? Have you commented yet? Who's a player in the NCAA tournament who you have your eye on if you're watching that? And also, let's think of a nice question. Is there a player on the Warriors squad, on their whole roster, Santa Cruz, or who you would like to see get a few minutes before this season is up? This is what I'm saying. Here's an example. I would love to see Braxton Key get a call-up. I really think he could help the Warriors in the playoffs. His defensive versatility reminds me of Otto Porter Jr.'s with maybe more athleticism. How about that? All right. For your Golden State Warriors content, like, subscribe, follow, and I'll see you next time at C-Train Station. Have a good one.